Are in for a treat as the Garden World's annual Spring Festival is back for its 2018 edition. The event opened on Friday and will run until Sunday, the 2nd of September, under the theme A Sense of Place. JJ van Rensburg is the Garden World's General Manager, and he's in studio with us this morning to tell us more about the festival. A very good morning to you, JJ, and welcome.
Good morning, Simpiwe. Thank you very much.
For the benefit of our viewers who don't know what this festival is all about, indulge us on what it is.
It's our highlight of the year. We prepare for about 7 months. We start the preparations towards the gardens, towards the Spring Festival. Then we start building up the gardens, and there's 17 different display gardens where people can actually walk into the gardens and enjoy the gardens. Very often, you know, if I wanted to showcase my work as a landscaper to the public out there, how would I do it? How can I invite people into somebody else's garden? Now suddenly you can invite them into your garden, in a show garden at Garden World. 17 different display gardens. We've got 6 gardens through the eyes of a child, and then we've also got a main display which focuses on 4 different geographical areas of South Africa, which is in one display. It is fantastic.
I'm slightly confused as to how this will play out. Do the architects, the garden architects, go to one venue, I mean the festival venue, and then design the gardens from there?
Correct, yeah. Basically,
Okay.
in the beginning of the year, about January or so, we have a meeting and we see which landscaper will be taking what garden. And you get a specific size, and of course then the landscaper goes back home and he comes up with all these magnificent ideas, he or she, because we've got a lot of lady landscapers out there as well, you know, female landscapers. So they all come up with their own ideas and they bring it to us and they say, right, this is what we want to create. And we see how we can merge the gardens into one another, how we can get the gardens flowing, and of course how we can make the most of the gardens.
Since the gardens are not movable, what happens after the festival?
Well, we keep the gardens there for as long as possible. So we keep them there until at least May next year. But during the show, it's when they are at their best, when the flowers are at their prettiest, when the spring vibe is there. So we're trying to bring spring a month earlier. I know spring is only supposed to kick off in September, but we kick it off in end of July already.
Now, this festival, has been in existence for the past 20 years or so.
Correct.
So how do you manage to keep it fresh and sustain it for such a long time?
Well, landscapers and creative ideas comes to light every year. There's new creative ideas, there's new landscapers, there's new people on board, there's new products on board. You know, many years ago, if you look at what was available 25, 30 years ago, was probably like 3 different kinds of stepping stones and 1 water feature. You know, everybody still remember the old kidney-shaped pond. But nowadays, your opportunities are endless. You know, the products that you can use is really vast. So every year we bring in new products. This year, for instance, we brought in a lot of artificial lawn, keeping the and succulents, keeping the water wise, keeping the drought in mind, keeping the water scarcity in mind. We also brought in vertical gardens for people that's got less space, to showcase them that even in a smaller space, you can still have plants growing from the walls or on the walls.
Okay. So personally, do you recommend these artificial lawns?
Well, it all depends on the application and their position. You know, very often, lawn is very difficult to grow in smaller spaces, in shadier areas, and for people that goes away quite often, you know. So from a maintenance point of view, yes, it is very nice. From a personal point of view, no, I still prefer the real one. Proper lawn.
Right. Now, this year's theme is Sense of Place. What is this sense of place and what triggered it?
Well, whenever you invite anybody into your home, you are creating your own sense of place. Whenever you're inviting them into your space, you are creating a sense of place. And we want people to create, we wanted them to create their own sense of place at our show. So they could create a feel for what the public would see when they go into their garden. May it be a garden which is an old world garden, may it be a very modern straight line garden, may it be a garden that is a more family affair where people can really enjoy the garden, have a pizza, because there's even some gardens with pizza ovens in them, you know. So it's really nice seeing what people can create in their own gardens.
Okay, just paint us a picture, if you can, of what will be happening on the 2nd of September. What can attendees expect to see? All
right, so until the 2nd of September, people can go through 17 different display gardens. We've got about 5 different platinum gardens. There's 1 overall winner. There's high golds, there's gold gardens. So the gardens are really to an international standard. If you look at what the standards are like overseas, people in the international market, people don't necessarily only go for a 1st and a 2nd and a 3rd place. But if you've got a very good standard, that is what you would be graded on. What you can see on the screen at the moment is our Coffee Bay exhibits from the 4 geographical areas in South Africa. So this is Coffee Bay, this is a section of Coffee Bay, that's a section of
absolutely
Table
stunning.
Mountain National Park. And then we've saw Namakwaland a few minutes ago. So that's different areas that we like to showcase to the public here in Gauteng. That's a garden with a pizza oven in it.
Great idea.
And you can see how
pizza oven in the garden.
Exactly. You can see how wonderful people can sit and enjoy the garden. And really, I mean, yesterday the lady who designed the garden, she was making pizzas the whole day for people in the garden. This is an old world garden. Gives you a bit of a hobbit, a bit of a medieval feel, but it's beautiful. You know, it's bringing a different creative side
and I love the
into the
bushy
gardens.
look.
That's correct, yeah. With all the rock work in it.
Yeah.
There's probably about 30 tons worth of rock in that one garden.
Wow.
This is the winning garden. This is designed by Stephen Mandel, and it is really a very, very well manicured garden. It's got a very wild interplanting with lovely plants in the front, agapanthus, different colors of delphiniums and penstemons. Beautiful seated area on a deck over a water feature. It's really something to see and something to enjoy. You know, very often people can't walk into a garden. They see a garden as a 2D picture and they can't get that 3D feel when they see the garden in all the dimensions. And there's a vertical garden I was talking about.
Vertical garden, wow.
That's correct. Hanging from the walls, hanging from the roof. And whenever you get a fourth dimension is when people can enjoy the garden as well, when they can walk through the garden and enjoy the garden.
And I think it works particularly with those with constrained space.
Correct.
Like apartments, for instance.
Correct, you know, and you've got a very warm wall, or you've got a wall which is a focal point, and you don't really know what to do with it, but you'd like to soften it, you'd like to green it up and make it beautiful. And that's the kind of thing that you can do. Look at this beautiful succulent garden, mainly succulents with a beautiful, simple water feature at the back, lovely patio area to sit at and to enjoy the garden.
Good stuff. Now, for those viewers whom you've just given ideas, would you advise them to start small or just simply go big when starting their own gardens?
Well, I think you've got to go and get your ideas and put them together. You know, gardening is not cheap, but if you do it right, you don't have to do it again and again, and then it will become a lot more cost effective. So if you were able to go and sit down and you and your hubby, you and your wife, sit and discuss the plans, discuss the ideas, walk into the gardens and say, you know what, I like this from that garden, I like that from that garden. Let's bring it together, let's merge it and use it in our garden. Let's see how we can do it. So start off small. If you don't know what to do, rather get a landscape designer in who can come and draw the plan for you. Then you can decide, am I going to be doing it myself? Am I going to get a landscaper in to actually landscape the garden for me, to build it up for me? And then from there on, take it further. It's like building a house. You're not going to start your house and start big without knowing what you're going to do. And there, I would recommend definitely get somebody professional in to assist you and then to lay out the entire garden for you.
Water efficient gardening, is there such a thing?
Water efficient gardening is very, very high on everybody's minds at the moment. Especially, I mean, we look at what happened in the Northwest about 2 years ago, in Gauteng, down in the Cape, in the Free State. The entire country had a severe drought and a lot of gardens suffered from it. A lot of animals, a lot of people suffered with it. So definitely water-wise gardening, using of succulents, using of the right kind of plants together. You know, very often people will think that when we say water-wise gardening, it means don't water your garden at all. And it doesn't mean that. It means use your water wisely that you are using in the garden. So definitely water-wise is a big theme or a big aspect of nowadays when we design our gardens.
Okay, so I want to attend the festival and get inspired and get all these ideas. How do I go about doing that?
Fantastic. So Garden World is situated in Muldersdrift. Those of you who don't know where Muldersdrift is, it's between Krugersdorp and Rensburg. So it's very easy to find us. It's on the Beyers-Naudé Drive, 12 kilometers north of the N1 concrete highway. Okay. So you just basically get off at Beyers-Naudé and you drive down 12 kilometers and you'll find us on the right-hand side. You cannot miss us. Whenever you drive into Garden World, you'll see you're driving into a paradise. You're driving into beautiful gardens, lush lawns. The nursery itself is situated in landscape gardens. So it's really a great place to go to.
Reminders of the dates?
It's on from Friday, 2 days ago, until the 2nd of September. So it is on at the moment. And for this week, we've got the Gauteng Flora Union also exhibiting the floral arrangements. More towards the end of the show, we'll have Interflora exhibiting their creations.
All right. JJ, thank you so much for giving us ideas and for some inspiration. Hey?
Fantastic. Thank you, Simpiwe.
All right, that's JJ van Rensburg from Garden World, and he was speaking to us about the annual Spring Festival that's set to run from the 27th of July to the 2nd of September 2018 in Johannesburg in Muldersdrift. This is Morning Live. It is 8:45. Let's take an ad break.